fiancé of 5 years looked me dead in the eye and said, "I'm not sure you're the one for me." No fight, no warning. Just those words, sharp, cold, and casual, like he was commenting on the weather. I laughed at first because I thought he was joking. Who says something like that after 5 years? But his face didn't move. He just stared at me with that detached calmness that made my stomach drop. So let me preface it. My fiancé and I had been together for 5 years. We met in college, built our lives from scratch, and survived every high and low together. We got engaged 8 months ago. The proposal was simple but beautiful. A sunset dinner, a trembling yes, and a promise that felt unbreakable. We were already planning our wedding, picking colors, venues, playlists, imagining forever. It felt real, until that night when everything cracked. Welcome to Raw Reddit Tales. Subscribe to keep getting the spiciest stories. He said it again, softer this time, like he was easing me into heartbreak. "You're amazing, but I don't know if you're the one." My heart sank. How do you respond to that? I asked him why, what changed, but he just shrugged. "I don't know. I just don't feel it anymore." Then he laughed and said, "If you were prettier, I'd have married you already." I froze. My throat burned, but no sound came out. He said it like a joke, but there was no humor in his eyes, just boredom. That night, I didn't sleep. I watched him scrolling on his phone, smiling faintly at something while my chest felt like it was collapsing. The next morning, he acted normal, humming in the kitchen, making coffee for himself. Not for us. I realized he'd already detached, quietly exiting the relationship while pretending nothing was wrong. Over the next few days, he started working late, ignoring calls and brushing me off whenever I tried to talk. Every time I said I love you, he said, "Yeah, me too." Flat, cold, almost forced. Then one night while he showered, his phone buzzed. I glanced, and there it was, a message from someone named Lara. "Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about you." I froze when I saw her message. "Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about you." My breath caught in my throat, and for a second, I convinced myself it was innocent. Maybe a coworker, maybe some kind of inside joke. But when I opened the chat, my heart shattered. There were messages stretching back for weeks. Compliments, emojis, voice notes. He told her things he hadn't said to me in months, how she made him feel alive, how he couldn't stop thinking about her laugh. He'd even sent her a picture of the restaurant where we'd planned to host our engagement dinner, writing, "Wish I was here with you instead." I wanted to scream, to throw the phone, to storm into that bathroom and demand answers. But instead, I just stood there, my hands trembling, my chest tight, trying not to collapse. When he came out of the shower, towel around his waist, I was sitting on the bed, the phone in my hand. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just looked at him and said, "Who's Lara?" His face drained of color. He didn't even try to lie at first. He just stood there, staring before muttering, "It's not what you think." I laughed. "Oh, it's exactly what I think." That's when he snapped, raising his voice, saying I was being too emotional, that he felt trapped. He told me he'd been confused for a while, that I pressured him into the engagement. Every word out of his mouth twisted the knife deeper. He dressed and left without saying goodbye, leaving me sitting in that silence that felt like death. My chest was burning, my hands shaking, and all I could think was, 5 years. 5 years, and I didn't even see this coming. The man who once wrote me love letters now blamed me for his boredom. That night, I cried until I couldn't breathe. I wanted to hate him, but the pain was louder than the anger. The next day, I called off the wedding. I returned the ring, deleted our photos, and packed my things. He didn't even fight for me. He just watched. No tears, no guilt. Like I was some stranger he barely knew. But just when I thought the story was over, when I thought I could finally start to heal, a message from Lara appeared in my inbox. She had something to tell me. When I saw Lara's message request pop up, my first thought was that she might want to apologize or explain herself. But when I opened it, my entire body went cold. There was no greeting, no sympathy, just venom. "Stay away from him," she wrote. "He doesn't want you anymore. You're embarrassing yourself." My thumb trembled as I scrolled through more of her messages. He told me everything. How desperate you were, how you begged him to marry you, or how you trapped him into that engagement. "He's mine now. Move on before I make you." For a second, I couldn't even process it. I just stared at the screen. Numb. My ex-fiancé, had not only cheated but painted me as some clingy, pathetic woman to his new girlfriend. I felt humiliated all over again. My fingers clenched around my phone, but I refused to give her the reaction she wanted. I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I went silent. The kind of silence that simmers with rage. But silence doesn't stop a woman like Lara. Within days, she began stalking my social media, leaving subtle comments, liking old posts, then deleting them. A sick little game. Then one night, I got a message that made my stomach twist. A picture of me and my ex from our engagement dinner, captioned, "You really thought he'd marry you looking like that?" That's when I realized this wasn't just jealousy. She was obsessed, territorial, and clearly unstable. I called him immediately, shaking with anger. "Tell your girlfriend to stop harassing me," I shouted. But he didn't sound angry or surprised. He laughed. "She's just protective," he said. "You did push me away, remember?" That was the moment something inside me broke completely. All those years I thought we were partners, that we were equals. He had turned me into a story, a joke, a lesson for his new conquest. That night, I didn't cry. I sat in silence, my eyes burning, and made a promise to myself. This wasn't over. If they wanted to play dirty, they were about to see just how calm destruction could look. Because I wasn't going to just walk away quietly. I was going to make them regret ever thinking I was weak. Or revenge didn't start as a plan. It started as a pulse. A low, steady rhythm in my chest that told me I wasn't going to let him or Lara get the last laugh. They thought I was broken, but I was watching. And when you've been humiliated, you learn quickly how to be silent and strategic. I knew his patterns, where he worked, what time he left the office, who he talked to. I also knew how reckless he was when he felt untouchable. It didn't take long to find his weak spot. His job. He'd been bragging for months about his upcoming promotion, how his boss trusted him like family. But what Lara didn't know, and what he forgot, was that he'd been cheating on company policy. Using company credit cards for personal dinners, work trips that were really weekends away with her. I had proof. Receipts, screenshots, emails, all collected during those long months when he thought I wasn't paying attention. One Friday morning, I anonymously forwarded everything to his HR department. Every receipt, every violation. By Monday, he was suspended, pending investigation. The same man who told me I wasn't the one was now jobless, humiliated, and trying to figure out who had done it. I stayed silent. But what I didn't expect was Lara's meltdown. She started posting cryptic stories. Fake friends everywhere, jealous women can't stand to see others happy. She blamed me. She called from a private number, screaming, saying I'd ruined their lives. I didn't say a word. I just listened and hung up. Days later, I started getting messages from people we both knew. Apparently, Lara had gone through his phone and found out he was cheating on her too. With another woman from his gym, she'd trashed his apartment, broken his laptop, and left him a note that said, "You deserve to rot alone." I thought that was the end. Poetic justice, right? But then one night, around 2 a.m., I heard a knock on my door. My heart jumped. When I looked through the peephole, it wasn't Lara. It was him. Drunk, crying, holding his jacket over his head as rain poured down. I should have ignored him. I should have locked the door. But a part of me, the part that still wanted closure, opened it. He stood there in the rain, dripping wet and smelling like whiskey. His eyes were red, his hands shaking slightly as he said my name, the same way he used to when he was scared. "Please, just let me talk," he whispered. I almost closed the door right there, but something in his face looked desperate. Not the arrogant man who broke me, but someone crumbling under his own chaos. Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. He stumbled in, soaked shoes leaving muddy prints on the floor. "She's gone," he said quietly. "Lara left me. She thinks I cheated again." He rubbed his face, pacing like a caged animal. "I didn't mean for things to go this way. I got lost, okay?" His voice cracked, but it didn't move me. I'd heard his apologies before, smooth and manipulative, rehearsed like a performance. I just folded my arms, watching him spiral. He tried to reach for my hand, but I pulled back. "You don't get to touch me," I said, my tone sharp. He nodded, staring at the floor, then mumbled, "You were right. You were always right." It sounded almost genuine until his next words. "But you didn't have to make her hate me. You told her things, didn't you?" My blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" He stepped closer, eyes flashing. "Don't play innocent. You've been messing with my life since I left." I laughed bitterly. "You ruined your own life." But something about the way he looked at me, wild, angry, unsteady, made me uneasy. He started shouting, accusing me of stalking him, of turning everyone against him. I realized then that whatever hold Lara had on him was gone, and now he was unraveling completely. When I told him to leave, he didn't move. "I don't have anywhere else to go," he said softly, tears mixing with rainwater on his face. "You were the only one who ever loved me." For a brief second, I almost felt pity, but then I remembered those words. "If you were prettier, I'd have married you already." I pointed to the door. "Get out." He left, slamming it so hard the frame shook. But that night, as I lay in bed, something felt off. A shadow moved past my window. A faint sound. Gravel crunching outside. My phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. The message read, "You think this is over?" The message sent a chill straight through me. "You think this is over?" I sat up in bed, every nerve awake, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I texted back a single word, "Who?" But there was no reply. Just silence. I turned off the lights, peeking through the curtains, and that's when I saw it. A figure standing near my car, motionless, staring up at my window. My breath caught. It was him. I could tell by the way he stood, hands in his pockets, head tilted slightly like he was thinking. I called his name through the glass, but he didn't move, just turned slowly and walked away, disappearing into the night. I barely slept. The next morning, my neighbor said she'd heard someone knocking on her door around 3 a.m., asking if I still lived there. That's when I knew this wasn't guilt anymore. It was obsession. Over the next week, weird things started happening. I'd find footprints outside my gate, cigarette butts near my porch, my trash can overturned. Once, I came home to see a rose on my doorstep with a note that said, "You'll always be mine." I wanted to scream, to move, to disappear, but a part of me refused to run from him again. Instead, I went to the police. They warned him to stay away, but deep down I knew warnings meant nothing to a man like him. Then one evening, I got another message, from Lara. "He showed up at my place last night. Said he was done with you, but he looked insane. Be careful." My stomach twisted. I didn't reply. I just locked every door and window, sat in the dark, and waited. Hours passed. Then, a knock, slow, rhythmic. My phone vibrated in my hand, and another message appeared. "You can't hide from me." I didn't open the door. I called the police again, voice shaking. They arrived 20 minutes later, but by the time they got there, he was gone, leaving behind muddy footprints and my old engagement ring sitting on the doorstep, bent and broken. That was the moment it finally hit me. I hadn't lost him. I had escaped him. I moved cities a month later, changed my number, changed everything. But every time I hear footsteps behind me at night, I still turn around, just to make sure it's not him. The end. Please like and subscribe for more interesting stories like this. What do you think of this story? Please comment below.